Well, again, I want to thank everybody for coming out here this afternoon. It's always nice on M-Day to come out and get a big victory. We talked to our guys a lot in the last couple of weeks of starting fast and finishing strong. And certainly when I looked up at that scoreboard and we were up 36-0 at the end of the first quarter, that's a lot better feeling than looking at that being down 14-0. So it's a credit to our coaching staff. It's a credit to our players. They came prepared. They came ready. And we did exactly what we needed to do, and that was put the foot on the gas early and then keep it on as we headed through the game. And I think it's indicative of how we've been this season. We've gotten better each week, and it was interesting looking at the Division II scores because we played Missouri Southern the week before, and they knocked off the number 3 ranked team in the nation on Saturday, Missouri Western. So our football team's getting better. We need to continue to get better. We got a bye week this week, so some much-needed rest for our guys. It's a great time for a bye week, and we'll get out and get some recruiting done. A couple things. I know Brad's is putting up some highlights right here. This is the third down that Tom was talking about. We knew presentation was going to give us a lot of cover zero man coverage. We were able to get Brandon Chong, and I tell you what, Brandon Chong's story in itself is awesome. He looks like he's 12 years old if you've ever seen Brandon in person. He does, but he is one competitive son of a gun. He's been competitive since the day he stepped on campus. He's only gotten better, and he has a great future in front of him. And he's had some great games. He had, I think, 168 yards receiving in this game. And if he doesn't bobble the next pass, he probably has a little bit more. But it's been great to see Brandon Chong get out and make some big-time plays on that end. So that was an exciting way to start the game, to make a big play, and really keep it going. Here you got Mike Zanuto, buying some time. Second week in a row that Joey Opendorfer's kind of worked into this situation, and it's a credit to him. And Mike bought some time on this play and kind of looked like a Tom Brady-esque type movement there as he's moving around. Breaks some time. Joey does a good job of working to the end zone and scoring a touchdown. So a couple exciting offensive plays for us right there. It's interesting when you play the game, they were very aggressive on defense. They had 11 guys within 6 yards, 7 yards of the line of scrimmage all game long and didn't change. And we knew we had the capabilities of big-time play, and our guys certainly came through with those big-time plays. On the special teams phase, we blocked our first kicks last week against Missouri Southern, and we actually blocked 2 this last week. This was Joey Obendorfer again. We talk about being part of the Thump Thump crew, and the Thump Thumps anytime you block a kick. You block a punt, you're going to win 88% of the games, and not only do we get the block right here, but DeAndre Bolden does a great job of scooping and scoring, and it's a huge momentum change. It really, ignites what we're trying to do from a mental standpoint, and we're excited to continue to get better on special teams each week. And anytime you can score in that phase of the game, it's certainly an advantage to what we're doing. So, any questions that I can answer for you about the presentation game? I don't know a whole lot about Fort Hays. We have in 2 weeks. We just got some tape in on them. But anybody out there have any questions?
When you have a successful game like this and you have an opportunity to put some points on the board and stuff like that, I know as a coach you've been around a long time. And 75 points to the outside observer looks like, wow, they ran it up on them. They didn't. How was it? What was your approach during this game?
When you play in the first half of football, I've been in some games where we're up, maybe not quite, 36-0, but we've all been in some football games where you're up a large margin, and I've seen some teams deflate after that, and pretty soon you're up 28-0, and you go into the fourth quarter, and it's a 28-28 football game. So we certainly didn't want to back off things in the first half. Once we got into the third quarter, we tried to be quite a bit more conservative with what we were doing and run the football, but they made it hard. When you put that many guys in the box and basically say, go ahead, try to do something. Jake Dahm breaks a run late, and really it's nothing special. We run our base zone play, but we have so many guys at the line of scrimmage. There's such a one-level defense that they're going to we're going to make some big plays, and so we try to take our foot off the gas. But credit to our kids. Our kids are going to play hard for 4 quarters. We got everybody in the football game, and that was a great thing to see.
You had a lot of special fans in the stands coming to see their student athletes play for the first time. Talk a little bit about that and how it just happened to work out for some of the kids.
Yeah, it was a pretty neat deal. You're going to speak with, hear Ja here in just a minute, but Ja's whole family was there, his grandmother, his mother, his wife, his 2 children, and so he was able to put a couple touchdowns on the board early, and that's neat to see. The nice thing about, the School of Mines is we have a good chunk of local kids, but a lot of our players are far distance away. DeAndre Bolden, who's from Houston, Texas, his family was in town, and you saw DeAndre scoop and score a touchdown. And Xavier Matthews, his grandmother was in also from the Fort Worth, Texas area, so he scored a touchdown. So my next question is if the AD is going to be able to fly out all these parents to all the games so we can guarantee touchdowns on each one of those.
I think your mother was here too, right?
Yeah, she was. My mom was here too, so hey, whatever it takes. I got to check with Jen and the NCAA rules on that, but that worked out pretty well.
How many kids you get in the game?
We played everybody that was on the active roster, so I don't know the exact number, but I think that's a credit to you. You got a lot of guys who spend a lot of time, they work a lot, and there's a lot of situations where you're not able to get these guys into a football game, and I think it's great to see 5 or 6 guys that really have had no game experience get into the football game, play hard, and really get some fruits of their labor.
We scored a lot of points, but was there anything specific that you felt like really improved? Because you talk about improving each and every week. What area?
We didn't turn the ball over. It's really that simple, and football is that simple of a game. When you turn the ball over, you lose. When you don't, you win. And we didn't turn the football over, and I think we've moved the football up and down the field the last 3 or 4 weeks. We didn't give it up, and that was a clear sign that we're moving in the right direction.
We have other questions.
You have a bye week coming up and 2 weeks to prepare for your next game. You're going to give them some time off. What's your approach for that period?
Yeah, we have normal Sunday, and so a normal Sunday for us is we run our NFL youth flag football, so our players are very involved with that. We watch the tape, and we have about a 45-minute practice. Today's their day off. Their normal Monday's their day off. We will practice tomorrow, and then they have the rest of the week off. So we're going to give them some time. It's these guys have been through a pretty good grind, some good road trips. Gives them a chance to get caught up academically, get their minds and their bodies right, and then we'll go back to work the following Sunday and kind of get back onto our regular schedule.
How about the coaches? What are they going to be out doing?
We are leaving Wednesday to get on the road recruit, and that is the name of the game in college football is recruit. It's the lifeline of any college football program, so we'll be out and about and trying to work on next year's class.
Any specific area you're hitting for the first round this time?
We'll be locally with a handful of our coaches. When I say locally, the state of South Dakota. And then me and Coach Tinker and Coach Tolentino are heading to Arizona. That's been an area that's been good for us. There's no Division II football in that area. And Coach Heim will be heading to the Northern California area. So we're excited to get some work done, be able to start working on this 2013 class and keep adding some fine Hardrockers to our program.
Other questions? Anybody else?
You talked about percentages, like 88% of the time you block the punt. How much do you incorporate percentages in a more detail, like in game planning, tendencies? What you seem like you seem to be a tendency percentage coach.
Yeah, I think, we spend a lot. We got a pretty extensive program that works into it. So, we will spend a lot. And next week I'm going to have our coordinators up here. They'll talk about that a little bit more in depth. But, a lot of the percentages, what we're looking at is, from a defensive standpoint, what are they doing by their personnel groups? We talk about 10 personnel, 11 personnel, and that's really the amount of tight ends and the amount of backs. So, there's usually some pretty heavy tendencies on that end. Is it a run play? Is it a pass play? Where are they running it? Where are they passing it? No different than overall formations. When they're in this formation, how are they doing it? Where are they doing it? And then offensively, we're going to look at how are they trying to pressure us or bring a blitz or what type of defense are they playing by down and distance or by our personnel. And so we spend a lot of time working through that. And then I also think you need to put the human element into it. Are they attacking the team we saw the previous weeks differently because of their strengths and weaknesses? Are they going to attack us different? So that's kind of the chess match that happens. Is it's not all a numbers game. That's certainly part of it. But being able to break those percentages down and see the tendencies and then also get a feel of, hey, how are they going to attack us, or what's our strengths, what's our weaknesses?
With the special teams play and the kick blocks, doesn't look like I'm going to need that 5th year of eligibility after all.
Well, Dr. Gunn, you're telling me about this kick block. I've been trying to get you out to that kick block drill about 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, I don't want to show anybody up, Mostly I don't want to look like an idiot. But we're coming up on midterms here. Just give you a heads up, I talked to a young man in Denver last weekend. I'd say he's about 6 foot, probably weighs about 280, done 11 AP courses already going into his senior year, and he's interested in us. Talk to us a little bit about the academics the football team's going through as we come up toward midterms and how the young men are doing.
Yeah, we're doing a great job. We run a program here called our Cap and Gown program. Our number one goal is when our player comes into this program is to leave with a degree, period. And obviously, if you've done any research and knowing the mines, you leave here with a degree, you're going to be successful in life. So our Cap and Gown program encompasses everybody who's new to our program. We have about 50 new players in our program this year, all freshmen, all transfers, and it's a time management exercise. It's also a study table, study hour organization. So they owe us 8 hours each week in Cap and Gown. They meet with their position coach every Sunday night. So we met with them last night at 8 o'clock, and those hours can come from a study table session. They can come from a tutoring session. They can come from meeting with a study group. And then we try to grade check them and class check them every 3 to 4 weeks. So we got their first round of grade checks a little while ago. Next week we're going to send out our second round of grade checks. And that way we're proactive in what's happening to them from an academic side. So if we see that they're struggling in a class, we can get them all the help they need. At the end of the day, it's on them to make sure they get their work done. But it's our job as a coaching staff to develop a program, especially at an academic institution like this, where it is much more challenging than some other places, to make sure they're on track, they're doing the right things. And I feel really good about the program. I feel really good about where we're at from an academic standpoint right now.
At the end of the third quarter, we were lining up to kick a 62 or 63-yard field goal, and our own bench freezes the kicker. Explain that one to us.
Well, we only had 10 guys on the field, so as soon as I find out who's the special teams coordinator, I'm going to have a talk with him. But I think we surprised some people going for that long. So we actually had one of our defensive linemen that was working with our defensive line coach. We had 10 guys on the field, and we were going to try to set a record at 62, 63. We had a heavy wind. Colton has a ton of leg strength, and then we couldn't get the 11th guy in there on time. So I give him timeout, let him get that warm-up kick so we could try the second one.
Other questions?
Yeah, we could have. I just worried about it being blocked. We were guys short on the edge. Now, they didn't bring much pressure at it when you watch the tape. I think they thought we might be in a fake area. You don't see that too often. We certainly could, but I wanted to make sure we had 11 on the field if we're going to do it. And he hit it well. I mean, he hit the crossbar probably 8 feet up the crossbar, so it wasn't a leg issue. And then the unfortunate thing was we go out and do it again, and we roll the snap back and don't get a shot to look at it. But he's got the leg. It was a neat opportunity, and I wish we got a chance to hit it the second time.
Once again, you got another 2-point conversion?
We got 2 of them, actually. We got 2 of them this week, and what we try to do is create some confusion with the defense. As a defensive coach myself, that's one of the worst things you got to see is line up to these formations and swinging gate, and so I try to take advantage of that, and 2 reasons. Number 1, to create some excitement with our own guys, but 2, I know how it is as a defensive lineman. By the time I've lined up, you've shifted back down, I'm no longer in that stance getting off hard and blocking a kick, so that's been a good little wrinkle to what we're doing.
Other questions? I think you have a guest.
I do. We got Mr. Jamel Rover is here today, and just like the other young men that we've been fortunate enough to have at these luncheons, tremendous young men. Ja's a little bit different. He's already received his degree from Idaho State University. He came here to the School of Mines to go through our IS program and bolster up his resume to be a PA. And he's a tremendous player, tremendous person, been a phenomenal addition with his leadership here. So come on up, Joe.
How you doing? All right. So where do I start?
Tell us where you're from.
I'm originally from Rialto, California, born and raised. I actually spent 2 years at a JC before transferring to Idaho State. Played 2 years there. Broke my ankle 1 year, so got a year back, and this is where I'm at with my last year.
What did you graduate from Idaho State with? What kind of degree?
I got a BS in psychology.
And you want to be a PA, physician's assistant?
Yes, yes.
So what kind of classes are you having to take here?
Your basic chemistry, physics, genetics. I've taken a lot of medical courses in Idaho, preparing for my future as far as that goes, and with my electives and stuff like that. So I kind of got a background.
Jamel, just in case you didn't know, your basic chemistry, physics, and genetics are just not ordinary classes for most of us. Tell us a little bit about your family.
Big family, very supportive. They didn't get an opportunity to make 3 games here because the distance is a little bit further. In Idaho, typically they make 3 games, they drive down. And the difference here is about 12 more hours. So they made our homecoming game. We had a big game. It was exciting. So, yeah.
And you, wife and kids, how old are your kids?
6 and 1. Najee, my first girl, I had her when I was 19. She's actually a great student. She just got student in a month. I'm proud of her. And then I have my little one. That's Brooklyn. Yeah.
And someone was asking you earlier, how much longer you've got this year plus one more, or what have you got?
Oh no. This is my last football season. And then I have the spring semester here. So yeah.
And then an application to PA school?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Other questions for Jamel?
Growing up, football was important. Did you have any heroes or anything like that in football?
Okay, to start out, I got forced to play football by my mom. Oh yeah. Literally dragged me out the house. Didn't want to go to practice. Hated it. I was a little heavier. I started off on the offensive line and went from there. So heroes, didn't really have any. Didn't like the sport at first, so kind of grew into it. Yeah. Yeah.
So what's it been like to come here after being in a Division I program in the Big Sky to play for the Hardrockers in kind of a turnaround year for us?
I would say it's been great. My time there wasn't the best. Had a few coaching changes and system changes that I didn't fit into. Now, it was interesting that I met Coach Collins at our homecoming game, and he was across the way at Portland State. And then they had the ceremony for the national championship team, which our AD here was actually there. So it was a unique situation that, I get ready to transfer, and these are people I'm kind of sort of connected with. I met them all at this point, and then I find out that, this is the school that's interested in me, and, I'm here. And I think it's a blessing. I think it's a great opportunity. I love the coaching staff. And I tell a lot of our younger guys that we have on the team, our freshmen, that you don't know what you have here because, you can be in a program where the coaching staff doesn't care, you're just a number. And it's not like that here. It's really a family. So, yeah.
Coach Collins, I think we'll use him for recruiting. Host.
Yeah.
Other questions for Jamel? Jamel, go ahead.
How's your health been after spring practice and fall ball?
Oh yeah, I have a condition called rhabdomyolysis, and pretty much it's just a matter of keeping your electrolytes in check, and we've been able to do that through Pedialyte and just more electrolyte supplements. So it's no problem there. I feel perfectly fine. Yeah.
You're on course potentially to get 1,000 yards. Would that be kind of important to you?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's always a great number to reach, and yeah, I mean, more than for myself, I want to kind of do it for Stacy Collins and Coach Tinker, which, gave me this opportunity. So,
Okay. Thank you very much, Jamel.
thank you.